How the Little Ice Age froze the world and changed history forever. What if I told you a few degrees of global cooling turned Europe into a battlefield, collapsed empires, and gave us the violin? Between the 14th and 19th centuries, Earth slipped into a prolonged cold snap now known as the Little Ice Age. No, it wasn't an ice age in the woolly mammoth sense, but it did bring snow to June, frozen rivers across England, and famines that reshaped civilizations. Today we're looking back at the centuries-long chill that froze crops, cracked kingdoms, and might just have made the modern world. Let's rewind to the 1300s. Things were going pretty well, for some. The medieval warm period had brought relatively mild weather, booming agriculture, and population growth. But nature, as always, had a twist in store. Suddenly, temperatures began to dip. The exact trigger? We're still not sure. Some scientists blame a drop in solar activity, think fewer sunspots. Others point to major volcanic eruptions throwing ash into the sky, blocking out the sun like nature's own blackout curtain. Some even think ocean currents, like the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation, played a role. Whatever the cause, Earth began cooling, and it didn't stop. Europe was hit hard, summers shortened, winters bit deeper. The River Thames in London froze solid, hard enough to host winter carnivals. Imagine that. Ice skating next to roasted oxen and open-air pubs right on the river. Sounds fun, until your crops fail. Because here's the thing. Cooler temperatures shortened the growing season, crops withered, harvests failed, famine became a regular visitor. The Great Famine of 1315-1317 was just the beginning. In some parts of Europe, people ate bark, leather, even each other. Yes, cannibalism crept in when survival was on the line. The cold didn't just bring hunger, it brought chaos. Social unrest surged. The peasantry, already teetering on the edge, now faced starvation. And when people go hungry, they look for someone to blame. Enter the witches. In one of the darker twists of the Little Ice Age, weather-related catastrophes were often blamed on sorcery. Witch hunts, especially in Central Europe, spiked. Why has the weather turned against us? People asked. And instead of turning to science, many turned to superstition. So in a brutal irony, the cold not only claimed crops, it also fueled centuries of persecution. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. Culture, as always, adapted. Dutch painters like Peter Bruegel gave us iconic scenes of ice-skating peasants and frostbitten villages. Some historians even credit the popularity of certain musical instruments, like the violin, to the cold. Why? Violins could carry sound better in chilly rooms than softer instruments. The world was freezing, but the arts found a way to sing. And this wasn't just a European problem. In China, the Ming dynasty faced crop failures and internal revolt. The collapse of the Norse settlements in Greenland? Likely a casualty of the cold. Even North America felt the sting. Native American tribes had to adapt to shifting seasons and shrinking food supplies. The Little Ice Age was global. It touched every corner of the world differently, but its fingerprints are everywhere. Let's not forget war. The 30 Years' War, one of Europe's deadliest conflicts, raged during one of the coldest periods. Coincidence? Maybe. But when you combine political tension with food shortages and bitter winters, you've got a powder keg. Napoleon's 1812 invasion of Russia, also affected by one of the coldest winters in decades. His grand army froze and starved in the Russian snow. One historian said, "The weather fought on the Russian side, and won." By the 19th century, things began to warm slightly, but not before science caught up. The Industrial Revolution was kicking off, and humanity began to influence the climate in a whole new way. But this time, we weren't cooling it. We were heating it. So why does the Little Ice Age matter now? Because it reminds us that climate is not just a backdrop. It is a character in the story of civilization. Small shifts in temperature can trigger massive consequences. Famines, revolutions, migrations, even cultural renaissances. Today, the conversation has flipped. Instead of worrying about the cold, we're racing to understand global warming. But the lessons are the same. Climate shapes economies, collapses systems, and tests resilience. And just like in the Little Ice Age, our future depends on how well we adapt. When we look back on those frozen centuries, we're not just studying the past. We're glimpsing our possible future. A future where humanity must again reckon with the power of a changing climate. Except this time, the snowstorms may not be our biggest threat. It might be the droughts, the floods, and the choices we make right now. Because history isn't frozen in time. It's always shifting, just like the climate. This have been History Distilled. Subscribe and like for more chilling parts of the history you never learned in school. Make sure to comment on what you want us to talk about next.